Hi, everyone. We're so happy to see you today. Welcome to Preschool Parade, where we're talking today about kindness is cool. There's so many great and wonderful ways to be kind, so we're going to talk about a lot of them today. My name is Miss Heidi, and I'm from the Miller branch of the Howard County Library System.
Hi everyone, my name's Miss Sylvia and I'm also from the Miller branch of the Howard County Library System. And we are so excited to talk about kindness. The first thing we're going to do is a song and it's called I Can Be Kind and it's sang to the tune of If You're Happy and You Know It. So I'm gonna sing a verse first and then Miss Heidi's gonna sing. So let's get ready. You can join in if you want. All right. I can be kind, yes I can. I can be kind, yes I can. I can be kind, I can be kind, I can be kind, yes I can.
That is great, and that is so easy to learn, Miss Sylvia. You can be kind, boys and girls. Okay, I'm going to have the same tune, but I'm going to say, I can say please and thank you. Yes, I can. I hope you can sing that with me. Ready? I can say please and thank you. Yes, I can. I can say please and thank you. Yes, I can. I can say please and thank you. I can say please and thank you. I can say please and thank you. Yes, I can. Please and thank you is one way of being kind, right, Miss Sylvia?
That's right. And we're going to talk about lots of other ways, so I bet you could sing that song later and think of some other ways that you can be kind as well.
Exactly. We're going to talk about so many ways to be kind today. And the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to introduce you to 5 kind dinosaurs. So let me make sure I have all 5 first. You ready? Here we go.
One,
There's 1,
two, three, four,
and
five.
5
There they
kind
are.
dinosaurs. Aren't they cute?
They are
Let's
cute.
see what they do that is kind. Okay, 5 kind dinosaurs. They're looking to share some more. So one shared a favorite toy. And then there were
Four.
4. It's good job. 4 left. Okay. 4 kind dinosaurs looking to do a nice deed. So one raked leaves for a friend. And now there were
Three.
3. 3 kind dinosaurs. They were looking to be nice to a few. So one did all their chores. And then there were
Two.
2. 2 kind dinosaurs ready to share more fun. So one went to help a friend. And then there was
One.
1 kind dinosaur. But he didn't feel alone. He used good manners to say, "Thank you, friends." And then they were done. All done being kind. And
Oh, I
I'm
love that.
sure you can think of a lot more other kind things those 5 dinosaurs could do and that you can do too.
That was awesome, Miss Heidi. I love that. I also have something to share that has to do with kindness and dinosaurs too. So what I'm going to share with you comes from this story, How Do Dinosaurs Play with Their Friends? By Jane Yolen and Mark Teague. And in this story, it talks about different things that dinosaurs do. But let's go over a couple together, just a couple. Do you think when dinosaurs play with their friends, do they take all their toys and hide them away from their friends? Oh, no, no.
Mm-mm.
How about this? If the dinosaurs are on the playground, do you think they cover up all of the equipment so no one else can have a turn? Oh, no, no. I wonder what the dinosaurs do instead so they can be kind. Yes. What are they doing, Miss Heidi?
Are they sharing a toy?
They are. They're sharing and taking turns with toys. And dinosaurs also help their friends.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so that's what dinosaurs do when they're working with their friends. And there's also another book from that series called How Do Dinosaurs Stay Friends that talks about similar things, also by Jane Yolen and Mark Teague.
That is so wonderful. And Miss Sylvia, giving a hug is one of the greatest things you can do with a friend, right?
That's
And that
right.
is also so kind to do. Well, there's another book that me and Miss Sylvia both have because we loved it so much. And it is called Kindness Rules. Look at that. And this is by Eunice Moyle and Sabrina Moyle.
Yes.
Look at that superhero of kindness. Reading this
Love
book
it.
will make you want to be a superhero of kindness. Look at that first page. What do you
Magic
see, Sylvia?
manners. Magic manners. Look at him. Look at that positive pants.
He has positive pants on.
And he's also wearing a cape of kindness.
Cape of kindness. I hope you put yours on today.
I hope so too. And you know what? He has magical manners. And look at these. His respectacles.
Respectacles.
So respectful to everyone he meets.
That is a great word, Miss Sylvia. I love
Yes.
that. And I hope you, boys and girls, can have magic manners and be a superhero of kindness too. But that whole book talks about how kindness rules the day.
Yes.
Because sometimes things go wrong and we don't always want to be kind, right, Miss Sylvia? But
That's
it's
right.
always good to come back to that. And I have another story that talks about how to be kind, and it's just called How Kind by Mary Murphy. And in this story, can you see the hen? The hen has an egg. We know that eggs come from hens, and the hen is giving Pig the egg. And Pig will say, How kind! Because hen is giving Pig a gift, and Pig wants to take care of the gift. But then afterwards, Pig wants to be kind too because hen did such a kind thing for him. And so Pig is kind, and then whoever Pig is kind to wants to keep being kind too. And so kindness spreads through the whole farm, Miss Sylvia. It is such a cute story. But then at the end, Pig was kind to Puppy. Puppy was kind to Pig by scratching Pig's back. And so Pig says, Do you want to see my egg? And guess what happened to the egg?
What?
The egg hatched. And so they brought the gift of the chick back to hen.
Oh, I love
And
that.
hen says, How kind. So that book by Mary Murphy, How Kind, is a whole circle of kindness, boys and girls, of nice things you can do for people. And then maybe, just maybe, someone could be kind to you too.
Yeah, because when you're kind, it makes you feel good. And then you want to be kind to others.
Exactly.
Another story, too, that's similar. It's called Try a Little Kindness by Henry Cole. And this book shares all different ways that you can be kind to others. I'm going to show a couple. So we've talked about this one with our dinosaur friends. Here, sharing your toy,
I
right?
love the sharing.
Such a great way to be kind. This one you can do with family members or friends too, helping someone without being asked to do so, just because you want to.
That is a big one.
Yeah. And then there was one more thing I wanted to show you. I just said this a little bit. When you're kind, then at night you dream about it, and then you know why kindness counts and look forward to doing it all again the next day. So that's from the story Try a Little Kindness by Henry Cole.
I love that, Miss Sylvia. Every day we should always try a little kindness. It would be
Yes.
great. And to go along with that, we have a fun little song called I'm a Little Helper. And if you know the song, I'm a Little Teapot, Short and Stout, these words, I'm a little helper, goes along with that. So I hope you can sing it with us. So get your helping hands ready to be a helper. And I'll sing it once and then Miss Sylvia will sing it and maybe you can learn it then too. Here we go. I'm a little helper, thoughtful and kind. Need help with something I don't mind. If you're feeling sad, a hug I will send. That's the way to be a good friend.
Oh, I love that. Okay, whoops.
Me too.
One more time. Here we go.
Helping hands.
Helping hands. I'm a little helper, thoughtful and kind. Need help with something I don't mind. If you're feeling sad, a hug I will send. That's the way to be a good friend.
Perfect, Miss Sylvia. Boys
Yay!
and girls, there's so many wonderful ways to be a good friend. We have some activities to show you that I hope you can do at home in
Yes.
kindness. Right, Miss Sylvia? Do you have those?
Right, I do. There's so many things we've talked about and so many things you can do at home. One of the first things is, and we'll share these resources with you as part of things for you to check out, but one of them is a way to track 100 acts of kindness. So every time you do something, you can draw a picture or write it down and keep track. And when you get to 100, you can celebrate because that's so exciting. And then another thing is thinking about ways you can be kind to different people. So maybe your neighbors, or your family, friends, your teachers, pets, so many different ways. And then the last way has to do with this story. ABCs of kindness. Maybe you can come up with a different way to be kind for every letter of the alphabet. And you can talk about it with your grown-up or draw a picture or write about it. And Miss Heidi and I just wanted to remind you, we've talked a lot about being kind today, but the most important thing is that A is for all of us, because all of us can be kind and helpful to one another. So that's the story, ABCs of Kindness by Patricia Hagarty. And that is what I have to share today.
That is beautiful, Miss Sylvia. So, boys and girls, before we go, we want to make sure that you are being kind to one another because that's important for all of us. And if sometimes you start being mean or start yelling or something, you can say, wait. You can count and say, I'm going to choose to be kind today. And remember some of the stories we talked about today. Thank you so much for joining us today for Kindness is Cool. I hope you had fun.
See you next time. Bye.